I would like to propose to you another possible Asia, which is at the margins, tacit in the works of some, that Asian societies do represent a different form of cosmopolitanism. It may be that this is also available in Africa, but I think Asian societies, that tradition is there, and we may be moving towards an Asia where it will have more place. In this form of cosmopolitanism, I'm talking of the kind of cosmopolitanism where people didn't call it cosmopolitanism, didn't know they were talking of the cosmopolitanism, but a way of living together with radical diversities, with radical cultural diversities, where cultural diversities were not only present, but present in a way which negated some of your fundamental beliefs on both sides, usually. I often give the example of a city I once studied, Cochin. I studied because I was interested in ethno-religious violence, and Cochin doesn't have a record of ethno-religious violence. So, when I first there, my standard way is I interview people. So when I first began to ask them why there was no violence in Cochin, they claimed that 3,000 years there is no record of violence. So I don't know, 3,000 years there is no proper history. 600 years record is there, and it's true that there is no serious violence. So I used to ask them that why did they think there was no violence? And they would say, just give me the standard answers. We are progressive, so therefore we don't have violence. We are not like the North Indians. Or they will say, oh, in Kerala, Cochin is a part of Kerala, and Kerala, there's 100% literacy. We are educated people. We are not like the North Indians. Yeah. Or they would say, why there is no violence? Oh, we are all secular. Because either we are ruled by a Congress-led coalition or by communist-led coalition. We are always on the good side, So I said, yes, I have understood that part of the story. All right, let's talk about your life. I'm interested in your life, actually. So tell me about your parents, about your brothers and sisters, the school where you studied, your neighborhood. And I would proceed. I usually interview people for days. So after 2 or 3 days, everybody of them, I ultimately find that nobody liked anybody else in Kochi. Kochi's amity is based on mutual dislike. All of them had their own private histories, which other parts of India we call Jati Purana. I don't know what Malayalis call it. The Jati Puranas, in which other communities do not fare well. And usually they are ranked according to the way they have helped them in some distance past. And it's all mythical history. Again, it's not history, it's mythical history. But this mythical histories, this attitude had 2 or 3 running themes which I have not forgotten. One, all communities were internalized. They were not only outside. They might dislike them, but they are part of inside. You could not define yourself without referring to the other communities. So your self-definition included the other communities, inescapably. Two, their narratives were almost like epics. And in Indian epics, as you know, the epic is not complete without both gods and demons. If you have to have the gods, you have to have the demons. If you have the demons, you have the gods. The story is complete on both have been recognized. I found that even the 2 Jewish communities in Cochin didn't like each other. And one by that time was already a very small community, probably not more than 50 households. Other one was still big, now that house also diminished. But that didn't cramp their style. And this one community said, we don't allow our children to marry theirs because they have forgotten Jewish rituals, proper rituals. We are 500 years old, we don't know it better because they came 2,000 years ago. And the other ones say that what do they know of Cochin, what do they know of Jewish traditions? They are only 500 years ago they came praying through the Ottoman Empire. And we are here for 2000 years after the fall of second temple. So they which thinks they are superior to the others. The other thing, of course, the third thing about this thing was, however, was this, that as in this case, that each community knew that the other didn't think much of them either. You didn't think much of them, but they also didn't think much of you. And they culted. This is a different concept of cosmopolitanism. This is not a cosmopolitanism where one by one you are supposed to shed all your prejudices, negative stereotypes, and so on and so forth, and emerge pristine, pure global citizen, hating nobody. I don't think it is possible, particularly in a society which is community-based. So in some fundamental sense, you are doing what the Japanistas invite us to do. You must learn to host the otherness of the other. You don't learn to host the sameness of the other, which you will see others share with the values, which is the challenge, modern challenge. So the earlier kind of brutal colonization of the kind in which Spain and Portugal specialized, they gave way to a more sophisticated form of colonization when it became the white man's burden in Asia. And that white man's burden has now gradually transformed into yellow man's or brown man's burden, because we have internalized it so well that our leadership, our rulers have begun to think in this way about how to push this recalcitrant, obstinate people towards a higher plane of civilization, towards a higher plane of development, and so on and so forth. That's the logic. That's the battle which is being fought in Asia. Asians, at least the most sensitive Asians, the writers, thinkers, painters, musicians, the political activists, the freedom fighters, they felt that what binds together Asia is a certain kind of experienced suffering in the form of colonial oppression. It is that what gave that idea of Asia certain power. That Asia is at the moment in its deathbed. Almost nothing is left of it. And in some weak moments, I believe that this is partly due to Japan's success. Because gradually, that Asia has given way, that one lost Asia, has given way to an idea of Asia which is modeled on Japan's success. The very fact that Japan succeeded in Western-style modernization and Western-style development, and not only succeeded, it was a spectacular success, made that idea seem approachable to many Asian societies, virtually the entire East Asia, large parts of Asia. And in this model, gradually there have emerged a new kind, seeds of a new kind of Asia, which is a collective of competing societies all trying to climb the inclined plane of history. It is not only a matter of your future, it is also a matter of your present, because your present is no longer only your present, it has now become Europe's past. Because it is still an open society, because there is still a possibility of debate and dialogue, therefore, at least it is seen as a standing criticism of our idea of development. It is seen as a standard criticism of the process through which, not standard, but standing criticism of process through which Europe and North America went. And my feeling is this, that because these societies are unwilling to look into their past and the violence and the genocide and the exploitation that has characterized their progress to modernity, idea of progress. Recovering this past, acknowledging it, even as a nostalgic gesture, even as a romantic gesture, is a way of criticizing the present. And those who provide that criticism also perhaps sense this. It's a way of denying absolute rights to a concept of history and a theory of progress that has taken a heavy toll of something like 225 million people in organized mass violence and deaths in 20th century world.